back to our podcast. I'm the gentleman, accompanied by the disturbed Southern Belle.
Hello.
And in this episode, we will be continuing our Outlaws from Around the World series with the Kelly family. So, the Kelly family is an American family of serial killers that was in action between August and December of 1887.
Aha.
So, the family operated in a town called Oak City, which was located in Texas, just south of the Kansas border, in what was described as no man's land.
That sounds like a good place to be.
Oh, absolutely.
There you go.
So, the family consisted of William Kelly, his wife Kate, his son Bill, also known as Billy, and his daughter Kit.
Okay.
So, the family moved from Pennsylvania to Kansas sometime in 1869. They moved on to several different locations after their arrival before they eventually settled around 25 miles from Beaver, Oklahoma.
Right.
They first had a cattle ranch, but they soon decided to open a tavern where they would allow fellow cowboys and travelers to lodge. They were all illiterate, which would not have been uncommon during that time.
No, at all.
So, they were regarded as being just a normal working family, which led to no one suspecting them of their crimes.
I can imagine. Why would you? I mean,
Just an average family
there you
working
go.
an inn.
And letting people stay there to earn a little extra money or
Pretty much.
different things, whatever. Right.
So, soon after opening their tavern, several people had mysteriously disappeared along the road leading to the establishment.
Mm-hmm.
It happened quickly over the span of just a few months.
Ooh.
Even though the disappearances were happening near the tavern, the family was not initially suspected of being involved. That remained true until sometime in December of 1887. During this time, the family suddenly fled the area without notifying anyone of their intentions.
Right.
A former guest of the tavern, a man named S.T. Gregg, was again in the area and decided to drop by. Upon entering the tavern, he was instantly overcome with a powerful and very foul stench.
Mm-hmm.
He then searched for the source of the horrendous odor, and he located a trapdoor in the floor of the tavern, which he then opened.
Right.
Inside, he found the bodies of 3 men, all of which were in an advanced state of decomposition, and then he left and then notified the authorities of his grisly discovery. Shortly after his report was made, several parties were formed under the lead of a cowboy who was known as Texie.
All right.
They then began digging around the barn to search for more potential victims when their attention was drawn to some soil that had been disturbed to the left of the barn's door.
Uh-huh.
They then began digging at the site and soon unearthed a broken skull that appeared to have been struck with an axe.
Oh, gosh.
That is a hell of a way to die.
It is.
They continued their digging and were able to locate another 7 bodies,
Oh, my gosh.
2 of which were women.
Oh.
So, most of the victims were too decomposed to identify. However, 3 were identified using the clothing that they were found wearing.
Right.
These victims were Jim Coven, who was a cattleman whose business covered that area and Texas.
Right.
J.T. Taylor, who was a wealthy door-to-door businessman from Chicago, or salesman from Chicago.
Right.
And lastly, a Texas merchant named Johnson.
Hmm.
On the property, an old rusty axe was found that still had what appeared to be human flesh on its blade.
Oh, my gosh.
That's just sloppy,
It
honestly.
is, but
You would think they would have cleaned that immediately.
I thought that.
Not just for the
I guess
fact
they
that
just didn't
get
care.
caught, but
Just-
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, any normal person would have just cleaned that just for the sake of keeping it
You
clean.
would think so,
But then again, these aren't normal people.
evidently not. No, it doesn't sound like your average family.
So, anyways, this was presumed to be the murder weapon, obviously, that had
Right.
been used to dispatch numerous victims.
Mm-hmm.
And so, information soon came in from Beaver, Oklahoma, that the family had passed through and they were on their way to New Mexico.
Right.
They were said to have driven a team of several horses and had appeared to not be lacking in the cash department, so to speak.
Right.
So, after the reported sighting, a posse of 20 men was quickly organized. The group then headed out in search of the family. The trail led them to Palo Duro Creek, with the trail then seemingly to head towards Wheeler, Texas.
Right.
The posse managed to catch up to the family eventually, and this then led to a 2-hour chase.
Good grief.
Kate Kelly's horse eventually tripped in the chase, which led to Kate being thrown from her horse, breaking her neck in the process. The family left her behind.
Of course they did.
After another half hour of chasing, the group managed to catch up with Billy and Kit. However, William managed to escape. Kit pleaded for mercy, which then led her brother to become enraged. He then essentially told her off, claiming that she was just as complicit as he was in the murders. The two were then quickly ushered to a nearby tree, where ropes were then produced, and the duo soon found nooses slipping over their heads.
Of course.
Kit is said to have whispered to Billy, asking if she should tell them everything. Billy is said to have then cursed the posse and told them to find out for themselves. The pair were then hanged, their bodies left dangling from their nooses.
Yeah, they did that a lot back then. It's kind of a sign, too.
So, the posse then set out in search of the last member of the family's patriarch, who had left a very distinctive trail for the group to follow. This was because the horse he rode was only shod in the front, leaving the back hooves bare.
Okay, that's kind of weird, but whatever.
Again, these people are so sloppy.
I know, they don't.
It kind of just drives me mad.
It does.
Because they're just so lazy and sloppy.
I know.
You'd think they'd put a little bit more effort.
Well, you would. I mean, I'm not condoning what they're doing, but
Absolutely
yes,
not.
if you're going that far to do all this,
Do it right.
Why would you just?
That's the very least you could do.
I don't know.
Anyways, I'm getting too riled up about this.
It is. They're stupid, but whatever.
Anyways, they eventually managed to catch up to him. The posse then fired 2 shots at him, which led him to stop his horse, dismount, and surrender. The guy's a coward.
Yep.
He then went on to claim that he had no part in any of the murders. The posse, however, were not buying his story.
Yeah.
They then took him to a nearby tree where they hung him promptly before releasing him and asking him again to confess.
Right, so they did the whole hang him for a few seconds, let him go. Yep.
So he finally obliged to their demands and told them that he, as well as every other member of his family, had taken part in the murders. He then told them where the money they had taken was stored, and he claimed that the family had killed a total of 9 men and 2 women.
Which leads some relevance there, considering this sort of how many bodies, and they found 2 women, so...
The posse then stripped William of all his belongings, which included a gold watch that had belonged to J.T. Taylor.
Which was one of the ones they identified, so yep.
His body was also left to hang in the tree where he was executed.
Yep.
According to his confession, when a traveler would come by the tavern, they would first make inquiries about the person in a way to gauge if they were actually wealthy or not.
Right.
If they were found to be worth the effort, so to speak, a member of the family, normally William, Billy, or Kit, would continue talking with the person in a way that would lower the person's guard further.
Right, just chatting, passing the time.
Yep.
Yeah, hey, how are your travels going? Yeah. Just being friendly, in other words. You wouldn't think anything of it.
So the person was then sat in a chair that had a trapdoor located beneath it. Kate would then prepare a meal for the unsuspecting individual. As the person was eating and chatting with the family, a secret signal was given, which would lead to the trapdoor being swung open, leaving the person to fall several feet to the floor below.
Oh, gosh.
The fall occasionally was enough to kill the person. However, any survivors were quickly met with the axe.
Yep. I guess it could. I mean, a whole floor, just falling totally unsuspected. God knows how you can land. Or the chair could break and even stab you or something.
Yep.
Ugh.
So, here's something kind of interesting. Now, already you could probably tell some similarities between a previous episode, the last episode that the Bell
Bloody
did.
Benders.
Yep. So, according to a contemporary news report, an unnamed man from Kansas City who claimed to have been investigating the Bender family and their crimes stated that the Kelly family was actually the Benders.
Oh my God.
He further elaborated his claims by stating that the family had never been caught, the Benders.
Right.
However, these claims were never found to be true, but it could be a possibility as the members of the family would have matched the Benders.
Right.
And that both contained a man and a wife along with 2 adult children, 1 male, 1 female.
Right.
And
true.
as I said a while ago, a lot of the things they've done
Is very consistent. That's kind of how they
is
did
very
it.
consistent
They had
with
the
the
trap
Benders.
door and everything in
Yep.
their little inn. So, I mean,
Yeah.
but evidently that was something that was done a lot, because I've heard this happening more than once in
Yeah.
different things. The whole trap doors, H.H. Holmes, that one guy that inspired the Sweeney Todd thing,
Yep.
all that crap. I mean, it's nuts. So, I mean, I never realized how prevalent it was at that time, but evidently
Oh,
it
yeah.
was.
So that ends the tale of the Kelly family and possibly the Benders.
If that was
So,
them,
yeah.
yeah, then they finally got them. If that was it does
I mean,
make you wonder.
the time fits.
It does. It was after they
The-
fled.
Yeah,
So,
their MO fits. All
Right.
of it's similar. So yeah, possible.
very true. Absolutely true.
But yeah, like I said, that ends the tale of the Kelly family and this episode. So I will turn it over to the bell for our outro.
So we're going to be continuing on a few more episodes talking about some more of the outlaws from around the world, and then we're going to be moving on to be talking about some of the most disturbing human experiments that have taken place in history.
God,
And
I can already think of a few.
And there are some that are absolutely horrible. But anyway, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe, and don't forget to stay disturbed.